The United Nations and the Palestinian leaders rather say they oppose any plan to move Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip. Well, for more, let's bring in Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. Tony, welcome back to Faith Nation. As ceasefire talks continue, does it help or hurt to talk about relocating Palestinians out of Gaza?
Well, John, there's going to have to be something done with Gaza, and there's multiple issues here that are being dealt with simultaneously. Since October the 7th, I think I've met with the Prime Minister 3 or 4 times, and his number one objective is to get the hostages back. That's a part of the conversation that's going on. How do they get a permanent ceasefire, get the hostages back home? How do they deal with Hamas, which has used Gaza as a launch pad for terrorism? And how do you rehabilitate that population? How do you rebuild it? I think this is voluntary in part to allow these folks to go elsewhere. But ultimately, it's going to come down to Israel is going to have sovereignty over their land. Now, it's very interesting, John, because we've seen even this week in the Wall Street Journal, and this is something that's been in the works for a while. I've had some conversations when I was in Israel a couple of months ago. You now have Arab tribal leaders that live in Judea and Samaria are saying, look, we don't want the Palestinian Authority. We want to enter into the Abraham Accords. I think this is, no question about it, a historic moment that we're in. And I feel pretty confident with the Trump administration backing Israel and allowing them to make the decisions that are in their best interest. I feel very confident about the future right now.
You mentioned those Gazans, and we should also note, as we reported yesterday, that the Israeli military is actually arming Gazan clans opposed to Hamas. Over the weekend, as you just mentioned the word launchpad, you wrote some commentary on the ceasefire deal titled, "For Israel, a two-state solution is a launch pad for terror." Can you share a little bit more about your thinking behind that?
Yes, John, because as you mentioned, the international community, they want to refer to Judea and Samaria as the West Bank. This is about a quarter, almost a quarter of the geographical landscape of Israel. And every time we talk about peace, it's somehow Israel has to give up land, give up part of this area for peace. And I think we're at a new paradigm is emerging, because post October 7th, even the Palestinians, the Arabs, not the Palestinian Authority, but the Arabs living under their corrupt system are saying, look, we know that a two-state solution is not a solution. Just allow us to operate under the Israeli government. And so I think, John, there's a parallel actually in our country where we have Indian tribes, Native American tribal lands that are under the U.S., but they have certain autonomies. I think that there is possibly a model here, a way forward for Israel to secure their future, their security, but also allow those individuals, the Arab tribes that are already there, to live peacefully as well, out from underneath a corrupt system under the Palestinian Authority.
Literally just a few seconds left, Tony. As you well know, evangelicals are seen as some of the biggest supporters of Israel. As ceasefire talks continue, how would you urge Christians to pray in the few seconds we have left?
We just need to pray for wisdom for our leaders, that they would support Israel in doing the right thing. Not telling Israel what to do or what not to do, but making sure our positions as a country are in alignment with God's plans for Israel.
All right, we will leave it there. Tony Perkins of the Family Research Council, we always appreciate you spending time with us. Thanks for joining us on Faith Nation.